my name is Vishnu. So it's nice to see all of you all here because I was once sitting where you are sitting in 2019. If you actually attend enough talks, usually people will start with something happened in their lives, then they received help, then now they see it as a calling, they want to pass on the favor and help. But I don't have that much of an interesting story. My story is just that I wanted to change people. So while growing up, when I see friends and all, I realized that I cope slightly better than the rest, and I was able to cope with stress and such slightly more efficiently and effectively. Whereas I see my peers smoking during their secondary school days, drinking and all that. Not that I didn't try, but they got quite bad. Then when they had relationship issues, they spiral down and all that. Whereas I was able to cope, not worry about it, just play games and just live life, continue studying and all. So I was like telling them, why do this, why do that? Just stop smoking, don't do this, don't do that. And it kept frustrating me to a point where, why not just do it? Like, what is so difficult to not to do it, not to take the action, not to just say no? What is so difficult to say no? So I went to take up my degree in Psych. So unlike all our experts here, they go different places. Mine is Singapore.
Oh.
So I did my degree in Psych. So after I finished the course, and then I realized I still can't change people. I only studied the theoretical part of it. I understood why. So if you did Psych, you will do developmental Psych, cognitive Psych and all these things. Then you understand why people behave the way they are, but you still don't understand how to change them. Then I realized, okay, fine. And also another reason why I did Psych was because, when you watch shows and all, you see people being psychologists, therapists and all that. Oh, okay, psychology. So after my Psych degree, I was at a crossroad. Should I do research based? Should I do therapy? Should I do counselling and whatnot? And that's when I came across TSPP while I was doing research, because I wanted to try a hand in it, just try a bit, see how it goes. If it's good for me, is it natural for me to talk to people? How does it feel like? So that's when I inquired, and then I spoke to someone, and then I applied. So that was the start. So the first thing I did was the Professional Diploma in Psychotherapy. So the most interesting module that I went through was actually hypnotherapy, which I'm sure some of you have heard of it and all. But if you want to talk about hypnotherapy, that's like another hour or two talking and just going down a rabbit hole already. Because I'm sure there's a lot of stigma against it, and when you watch shows and all about manipulating people. But that's far from the truth. There's actually a difference between hypnosis as therapy, which is hypnotherapy, and also stage hypnosis. And sometimes most of it are staged. You put extras in the crowd and then you do it. But there's also some truth to it. So if you actually learn it and you go in depth, it can actually cause a lot of wonder for you, and it actually surprise you in many ways, more than one. Which is actually what happened to me, which I was actually a bit more skeptical to it. So after I went through it, I went to learn it. I actually went on to do the advanced hypnotherapy course and also the trainer course and such. So I actually finished it. So that's the story for that TSPP part. And after I did my professional diploma in psychotherapy, I went to do my masters. So I went also in Singapore. Then now I'm practicing as a psychologist with Club Hill. So if you've never heard of it, it's okay. So it's one of the organizations that's part under the government, which helps to provide community resources to the public. So all these cases and all these client referrals from IMH, Kutekpot, all these hospitals, we also accept walk-ins. So when they come to our center, then we do mental health resources and therapy for them. So we also do support groups and such. I think an interesting part so I've also studied at different places. I've done different certifications in different schools and all. And why I've always thought that TSPP was a good starting place for me was, I think as obviously you all can feel it's a bit more vibrant, a bit more energetic, it's more welcoming and such. I don't know if you all feel the same vibes as me. But yeah, so it plays a very big role. And also the lecturers here, they are a bit more welcoming, forthcoming, and they share a lot of experiences as well. And certain schools or certain modalities or therapy classes that I go, they usually teach a lot of theoretical parts. It means they sit in the class, listen for an 8-hour lecture, and then they send you off. Whereas here, even though it was difficult in the beginning, there's a lot of hands-on, there's a lot of breakout role plays, breakout rooms, and to practice slowly to master the art rather than just to study theoretically and to move on. I feel like there's a lot of human touch to it, there's a lot of practice, role plays, and you actually fine-tune your skills. So Why I'm saying this is because this cert actually helped me to get the current job I had. Whereas when I was applying with other graduates, the other graduates were just graduates who hasn't had the skill set, or they haven't practiced yet. Whereas for me, I did clock the hours, I already had the on-ground experience and all, so that was a slight advantage for me. But I'm not saying that it will always happen, but at times where employers or when they look out for certain things, these are smaller things that can help you. But I think one important thing is what my friends told me. I mean, taking such certs and going to mental health and all that, helping others is actually secondary. The primary focus is actually to help you be a better person. And before I started this whole journey, like I said, when I first started, I tell people don't do this, don't do that, don't smoke, don't drink, excessive things, not at all. After a few years into it, after 2 years or so, when I gave information to them or when I spoke to them, they actually told me that you're actually saying the same thing, but now we feel a bit more inclined to listen to you. But the thing is, to me, I didn't realize it. I'm doing the same thing. It's the same message I'm trying to do. But I say, no, now you are a bit more. Okay, when you study therapy modalities, there's something called you don't go against resistance. There's actually a fine art to roll with resistance. If a person say don't throw facts at their face and say that no, you must do this is why. Wait until they need help, or wait till or you find an entry point to make them seek what you want. And over the years, I think it also becomes a part of you. And I'm sure people around you will also notice that the way you handle issues, the way you handle problems. And even if you think you are handling things very well now, it will actually improve your quality of life in a certain way in terms of handling problems, issues in any way that you see fit. So yeah, like what I tell people as well, before you think about helping people, you need to help yourself first, because you cannot pour from an empty cup. You need to make sure you are filled with whatever you have that you want to pour to others, because if you have nothing, you truly cannot pour anything out. So yeah, so I wish you all the best of luck in your journey in mental health. Yeah, so if you have any questions from a student to student, yeah, you can always approach me.
You mentioned that you do hypnotherapy, right? So how effective in your experience is hypnotherapy?
I think hypnotherapy is as effective as any modalities. So there are actually over 300 to 400 modalities all over the world. And all issues are the same. And different modalities may be more efficient to certain issues. But at the end of the day, they all work through the same system. You are trying to help the client out of the things. And hypnotherapy, if you want to see it in a way, hypnotherapy can be considered the unconscious version of transaction analysis. Whereas one is done while your eyes is open, one is done while your eyes is closed. And also I think a lot of stigma against hypnotherapy is because of whatever you watch in shows, whatever you watch on stage and all that, you feel like you are the one taking control. People may be thinking that, oh, if I go for hypnotherapy, I'm weak, I'm losing control. Whereas actually the client is always in control the whole time. What you're doing is you're assisting, you're facilitating the process, but it can also be used to help with any issues the same as CBT, SLBT, or anything else. But it's also quite effective. I've also seen results with clients. At the same time, if people say they don't have results, it's the same thing as other modalities. I've done work via CBT with clients, they say it don't work. So different people may resonate better with different modalities. So it's not that one doesn't work. It's just that some people prefer a certain way of doing it. Because certain modalities come with a different approach. You take it as the client is the expert of their problem. One is you are the expert, you want to psychoeducate. So it really depends on where you're coming from and how you feel the client will be more responsive to the approach you're taking towards the client treating their issues.
Is hypnotherapy suitable for people with bipolar disorder?
I mean, you can try, but it really depends on in what stage of the bipolar they have. Because they have type 1, type 2, and then you also need to know about how are their mania episodes and all. So if you feel like the client is still very calm and relaxed, and they don't get triggered when they're in a relaxed state, then you can try it. But some clients do get triggered when there's absolute silence. Then of course you don't do that with that client. So it really depends on how you know about the client, what triggers them, and then you choose. Okay, so I use a very hybrid approach. I actually plug and play the best of different modalities. Whereas some people are actually purists, where they actually CBT means purely do it. So it really depends on the therapist or the counselor who's in charge of a case, and if they know you well enough, they will cater it accordingly to you. I think maybe the word hypnotherapy, hypnosis is a bit off because of the media, movies and all that we watch. But it's actually it's just one of the modalities that people use for therapy all around the world. And you're actually going through hypnosis at any point in life. If you're doing visual meditation, guided meditation and all these are actually putting you in a similar trance-like state. And you're actually going through, if you're watching a movie, don't you feel so engrossed that you don't even hear anything else that's happening around you? That is all being a trance-like state, and that is all part of hypnosis and hypnotherapy to a certain level. But I think the more if you take up the course and then you learn it and then you understand it, then you also understand where it's coming from, how it's applied, and how do you effectively use it. And it's not all about controlling someone else and then giving instructions just like that. It's a bit of getting the client to be in a state of focused awareness and to guide them to reach their goals, which is the same as what we're doing in any therapy modality. But I think it's just a stigma that's out there when you watch movies that they do it so abruptly. The biggest feedback I've heard, or when people come to me and say they want to try, they will say that, am I weak if I'm going under? Am I not strong enough? Am I not resilient enough? Usually what I would say is, it's a NLP thing, like something like, usually the stronger ones are the ones who will be able to receive the feedback. So you do a reverse psychology on them and then they'll be less hesitant to you. Or because it's a mode of giving instructions for the client to follow. So usually I would say that the smarter ones are the ones who are able to follow the instructions and receive the benefits. Because if they don't follow means they are. So something like that, yeah. But TSPP also has other modalities, other modules and other sets and all that, and each of them has a part to play. For example, play therapy for kids, and even today I found out they can use for adults and all. So I think it's really a calling for you all to know what kind of age group you all are willing to work with and what kind of personality trait that you have. Are you into play, hands-on and all that? Whereas for me, I realized I was more clinical. I was into, so the type of work I do at work is schizo, bipolar, suicide and all these kind of things. And then, so I've got two jobs. One is my psychologist at Clarke, which is my full-time. And that I started last year in 2022 after I graduated from my master's. When I finished TSPP in 2020, so I enrolled in 2019, graduated 2020, then I started my own private practice called Trident Therapy. So that's where I also do my hypnotherapy, psychotherapy and also family therapy. So I'm also a family therapist as well. So yeah, so I hold many hats, and it also depends on what you want to do and how you want to treat. And there's no right modality. Some purists will say that yes, is the best, but it really depends on how you feel about going through the approach. So some of you may feel inclined towards a certain way of doing it, some may not. It's totally fine. You can always go through the classes, learn it. So at least so clients will come to you and say that, I've tried CBT. So at least if you're aware of what's happening, at least you know, what's the process like, and then you know how to steer away or try to improve on it. Rather than not trying it and not knowing where the client's coming from. Or usually clients are very smart, they Google everything. Before they come to you, they will say, I don't want CBT. I'll say, why? Because it doesn't work. How? Why? How you know it doesn't work? I YouTube and then I follow the instructions. A recent client 2 months ago came to me and said, SFBT doesn't work. That's like, okay. How? I use ChatGPT. So there are a lot of youths now, so I'm getting youth cases where they use ChatGPT to actually self-therapize themselves.
Wow.
So mental health is an ongoing learning process. Even if you finish all the classes here, your certs here, it will never end. Every generation, every few years, something new will pop up. Some new problem will evolve to a new way, and then you will have to find a way to deal with them. So you keep learning and how to deal. And I think the interesting part about mental health is to actually listen to stories. So another big aspect for me of getting to this, because I like the narrative aspect. And when you start to hear stories, there are many things happening on the ground that you will never expect. Like whatever you watch on shows and movies is far from. When you watch shows, you'll be like, cannot be like, where got such thing happen? But you listen to stories, I'm telling you why it's way down in another rabbit hole. Yeah, if you do family therapy, you should know the stories we hear and all.
Wonder, obviously, being a psychologist or psychotherapist, you hear so many stories, and at that moment you have to be empathetic, connecting. How do you pull yourself out, and is there any really psychologists or psychotherapists that can come out untainted from the whole experience, and you don't carry that with you back home.
I mean, thanks for the question. That's a very good question. You know, a lot. Okay, so firstly, I think I'm slightly more inclined to compartmentalize slightly better than some. That's one. But that being said, there will definitely be things that will affect you or make you think twice about and all that. But that is still a part and parcel of the job. There is no job that doesn't have any side effects or anything that will affect you in any way. But that being said, maybe some of you are new to the mental health learning journey. So what happens is, which I was sharing with another student just now, after you graduate, it's not like they throw you out and then you practice on your own. So usually what happens is when you see clients, you will actually be attached to a supervisor. And you attach to a supervisor for every about 5 to 10 clients or so. You will see your supervisor to touch base. How was the sessions like? Are you having any difficulties? What can be done? Then the supervisor will share with you all resources to pick up on, or what are other avenues that you all are missing out. And not only on cases, it's also about yourself also. How are you coping with this? Is there any transference, counter transference? Is there anything that's affecting you? You know, a very simple example is, so lately I've been having a lot of suicide cases. It can be quite scary when you talk to a client, they have suicidal ideations, suicidal attempts. This is the first time seeing you. And then you see the case report from iEngage, they will say something like, client was resistant. They're just following the caseworker's recommendation to see for one session to try. And now he said he has plans. It can be very scary for them to leave your office and such. So such things do happen, such things you will feel, but as time goes, as any job or anything that you pick up, you will get used, I wouldn't say get used to it, you will learn how to cope, you will learn how to channel your energy after work, how to compartmentalize yourself, how to deal with self-care. But there's a lot of things you can do for self-care, you know, sometimes it can be just watching Netflix, but sometimes it's good to talk it out. So it really depends on your personality. Are you the person who likes to talk to friends, talk to your colleagues? But it's good to engage in some self-care for yourself, your hobbies, and also that you have something to focus on as well. It does change you a bit in the sense that sometimes you will be more aware. I think the biggest problem that I faced was I tend to spot red flags faster. Yeah, so I think these are the cons of coming to this sector. You actually see things, you'll be a bit more aware and a bit more enlightened by certain things around you. But because of ethics, boundaries, and because of your training, you'll be like, shut it more, shut.
You have to raise something.
Yeah, don't say anything. Then another problem will come is your friend will ask, why you never tell me? So it's back to the smoking thing. I didn't say don't smoke from the start. Now already you listen. Yeah, so I think there are some fun things, good things, and bad things, like any job also. But then it's just trying to cope with it, and with your training, you will actually come to terms with how to deal with them and how you can progress with them in a more positive approach.
Can you share a case that you're most proud of, that you wish change?
Okay, so I had a case from iEngage. Okay, I wouldn't say proud, but it was an affirmation for me. It's like a stroke to me. Because usually when we see clients, then they will just stop the sessions or they'll just carry on with life. So we don't hear feedback or that kind of things. Because I'm more community-based. So after a while, they just disappear, carry on with their lives and all. So when I was doing this support group, he came, then one of the counselors was asking them feedback about their. So this support group are people, clients of my organization, but they do not know who are their respective counselors or psychologists that's tagged to them, so that they don't feel awkward that who's around and such. So when there was a feedback session, then someone was asking the person what was improved or what went well or something along those lines. Then he said that the 2 sessions with me, he learned more from the 2 sessions with me from his 2 years in iEngage.
Oh, wow.
So I was quite proud. I was like, yeah. So these are small things that sometimes clients may not know how to share with you or they tell you, but actually you're actually making a very big impact. Sometimes all it takes is just you sitting in the room and just agreeing with them. It makes the whole world to them. Especially, so let's say family therapy, so sometimes infidelity. Sometimes all they just want to hear that they are beautiful, they are handsome, they are worth and all that. Because once a picture like that breaks them, they can be, you'll be surprised that if you're driving a Ferrari, they will be living in a bungalow and all that, but then they become so small in that instant. And you just sitting with them and saying that it's not the end of the world, or it's not your fault. people start blaming themselves, you actually make a very big difference in that 1 hour with them. Or even that 5 minutes when you just say it. Yeah, so I don't think I have a very proud case, but I think I'm proud of all the clients that have taken the first step to see me and to start their healing journey.